everybody, and welcome to another episode of Freaking Awesome Italian. I apologize in advance if my voice sounds kind of buzzy. I'm having some trouble with my microphone and I can't really figure it out yet, so I'll work on that. And in the meantime, today we're going to be finishing up our articles. I don't know if you remember way back when we started learning some articles. Articles are the, and, right, in English. But we only learned the easiest ones, the basic ones. So let's review really quick the ones that we learned last time we looked at articles. We learned that there were definite and indefinite articles, right? And definite articles, which are the in English, we learned that they are separated by gender and by number, right? So il, la, I, le. We also learned that there are indefinite articles, which are like or an in English. And these are just like the other ones by gender, un and una, right? So these are the basic articles that we learned. Now we're going to take it up a notch and learn a few extra ones. This lesson is going to be a little bit complex just because there's a lot to learn. So take good notes and review it often, and pretty soon you'll figure it out. So basically, these articles aren't enough because there are certain situations where they wouldn't fit very well. And I'll show you what I mean by that. For example, articles change when they're in front of impure S, Z, or GN. Now, what is impure S? Impure S is a way that linguists describe S followed by a consonant, right? So for example, in the word schema, right? It's SC, schema. That's an impure S. Whereas sabato, SA, right? That's S plus a vowel, so that's not an impure S. So the reason why some articles change in front of impure S or in front of Z or in front of GN is because Italian wants to avoid having too many consonants all right next to each other. It makes it kind of hard to pronounce, right? So GN is the ñ that's already two consonants next to each other. And the Z sound, Z is pronounced like a TS, right? And so that's already two consonant sounds. And so if an article right next to it had a third one, it would make it pretty hard to pronounce. Very, very rarely in Italian will you see three consonant sounds all next to each other. It almost never happens. And so these articles adapt to adjust for when they're next to these things. So anytime a word starts with S plus consonant or Z or GN, like we were talking about, it changes in these ways. The il becomes lo, right? So il is the masculine, singular, definite article, and it becomes lo. So for example, lo spagnolo, the Spaniard. Or it could be the Spanish language, right? Spanish. Instead of il spagnolo, that LSP, that's three consonants together, it's easier to pronounce it when you say lo spagnolo. Same with lo zaino, instead of il zaino, LTS, right? It would be lo zaino, lo gnocco, lo spuntino, lo sguardo. Anytime you see S plus consonant, and if it's a masculine noun, then you know that il is going to become lo. The feminine doesn't have to change because la already ends in a vowel, right? So la Spagna is fine because there's not three consonants in a row. La Spagna is fine, and la strega, that's fine. So the masculine plural definite article, which is I, right? When it's in front of impure S or Z or GN, it becomes li zingari. Remember, GLI is that palatalized L sound. Hope you've been practicing it because it comes up a lot throughout the language. Gli zingari, gli scozzesi, gli scacchi, gli gnocchi, gli scemi. So there you have that. That's something to remember. I becomes li, and once again the feminine plural doesn't have to change, le, because it already ends in a vowel. And I know what you're thinking, why does E have to change since it is a vowel, right? And the answer is, I'm not sure. I don't know why, but for some reason, I becomes gli, and le doesn't change. So le is le zanzare, le spiagge, etc. And don't worry, at the end I'll pull these all together into a master chart, and I'll give them to you all together so you can write it down, copy it into your notes, and study them all together. So something weird happens also when definite articles are in front of vowels. I don't know if you've noticed, but in all of the examples that I've given throughout the course, I've never put an article in front of a word that begins with a vowel. That's because I didn't want to show you this until now. This is what happens when a word starts with a vowel. So the masculine and feminine definite articles, they both attach. So it just becomes L apostrophe and then the noun. So like orso, which means bear, right? It begins with an O, orso. It would be lo orso, but that sounds kind of weird to say. It's hard to say lo orso. So it just attaches and it just becomes l'orso. That's something that makes Italian beautiful. It's one of those things that makes it flow. The words connect, they run into each other, they're abbreviated, it makes it rhythmic, right? L'orso. So you know that the word orso, you know that means bear. So when you hear it with an L at the front, you know that it has the definite article. It means the bear, l'orso. Same with Italia. It's kind of hard to say la Italia. So you just say l'Italia. You hear that all the time, l'Italia. Italy, right? We don't put the article in front of it in English. We don't say the Italy. We just say Italy. But in Italian, you use the article, l'Italia. Or you can. Lo orfano becomes l'orfano. La uva becomes l'uva. So the plural ones, gli and le, they don't attach. They remain separate. So that attaching thing only happens in the singular. So loca, instead of saying la oca, you say loca in the singular, but in the plural it's still le oche. L'arancia in the plural becomes le arance. L'italiana in plural is le italiane. L'americano, these are the masculine examples, becomes gli americani. L'amico becomes gli amici. So those were the definite articles. Now we're going to move on to the indefinite articles, right? Or an. And they undertake transformations in the same situations, in front of impure s, z, or gn. So the un, which is the masculine singular indefinite article, becomes uno for the exact same reason. Why il becomes lo, un becomes uno, just to have a vowel at the end so that it's easier to pronounce, that you don't have too many consonants. So uno sbaglio, uno sportello. It's easier to pronounce than un, right? The feminine one, once again, doesn't have to change because it ends in a vowel. Una zampa, una scossa. But indefinite articles in front of vowels, something else happens. Once again, un doesn't change in front of a vowel. This time it's the masculine one that doesn't change. Un aeroplano, un ufficio. See how it stays separate there and it doesn't change? Whereas the feminine one does attach. Una becomes un apostrophe, and it attaches to the noun. Un'opera. Instead of saying una opera, you say un'opera. Un'amica. Un'università. It attaches to the word. So here's your giant master chart of Italian articles. Are you ready for this? This is a lot to memorize, but luckily you don't really have to mechanically memorize like, oh, there's impure s, then in that case, let's see, it's a definite masculine article and then it's in the singular, and so, you know what I mean? You don't have to go through that whole process every time mechanically. All you have to do is look at some examples. Instead of learning this by doing it at first, learn this at first by reading. Every time you're reading, you're going through your example sentences and you see lo, you think, wait, what's the lo again? Oh yeah, that's that form of il, right? That's that masculine singular definite article. Why is it lo? Oh, it's because the following word starts with impure s. That would so lo. Okay, that makes it right. And so you'll pick that up slowly over time, and you'll start to recognize them and realize why they change the way they are. And after a while, you'll realize that it makes sense. It's not as hard as it looks at first. It's just pretty daunting when you look at this giant chart right here in front of you. So go ahead and copy this into your notes, or take a screenshot and print it out or whatever, and use this as you're going through your sentences and reading. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Arrivederci.